Okay, picture this. Imagine a hot desert wind blowing in from the Mediterranean. It's carrying stories that are so much older than the headlines we see today. We're going to journey back in time to a Gaza you've probably never even imagined.
When we hear the name Gaza, our minds, they immediately jump to modern conflicts, right? To images of struggle and strife. It's a place that feels completely defined by the here and now.
But what if we could just peel back all those layers of recent history? What if I told you that this very same city was once a proud, vital part of one of the greatest empires the world has ever known?
So, our story really kicks off with the Achaemenid Persian Empire. After the legendary Cyrus the Great took Babylon, his empire started this incredible expansion, pushing all the way to the Mediterranean. And suddenly, the ancient port of Gaza found itself right at the center of a whole new world.
And what an empire it was. I mean, we are talking about a civilization that stretched from the Indus River in modern-day India all the way to the shores of the Mediterranean. For its time, it was literally the largest empire in history. And Gaza? Gaza was its westernmost port.
Now here's where it gets really smart. To manage this absolutely massive territory, the Emperor Darius the Great came up with this brilliant system called satrapies. Think of them like provinces. This wasn't just about conquering. It was about organized, long-term rule, with a local governor, a satrap, in charge of each region.
So, where did Gaza fit into this grand plan? Well, it was a key city inside the fifth satrapy of the Persian Empire.
And what that means is that Gaza wasn't some forgotten outpost on the fringe. No way. It was part of a major administrative hub that included the heavy-hitting regions of Phoenicia, Syria, and Palestine. It was deeply woven into the fabric of the empire.
But Gaza's role went way beyond just administration. It was also the empire's frontline fortress, standing guard on the incredibly important border with Egypt.
And people took notice. Ancient Greek historians wrote about it. They described Gaza as the very edge of the Persian world, a place where the disciplined soldiers of the great king stood watch. Anytime there was trouble brewing in Egypt, you can bet it was the legions stationed around Gaza that marched to restore order. But okay, on top of being a fortress, Gaza was also this vibrant, buzzing economic engine. This was the spot where the great land routes coming from the east finally met the sea lanes of the west. It was a true crossroads of the ancient world. Just try to picture it. These massive caravans, loaded with goods, would set out from the heart of Persia, from capitals like Susa and Babylon. They'd journey for weeks across the vast Syrian desert, and their final destination was the port of Gaza. From there, all that precious cargo was loaded onto ships and sent all across the Mediterranean.
And the market there, wow, it must have been incredible. The air would have been filled with the smell of spices from India. You'd see stalls gleaming with fine Phoenician glass, and everywhere, the absolutely stunning beauty of Persian carpets. You'd have heard merchants haggling in Aramaic, Persian, and Greek, a true melting pot.
The sense of awe that Persian goods inspired is just, you can feel it. Greek merchants, when they saw the intricate designs of Persian carpets, were quoted as saying they came from a land where even the soil itself produced gold. I mean, these weren't just products, they were cultural ambassadors.
And this brings us to what really made the Achaemenid Empire so different and so stable: its philosophy of how to govern. It wasn't built just on force. It was built on a pretty revolutionary idea of tolerance and law.
See, unlike so many other conquerors of the time who would just roll in and impose their own gods and cultures, the Persians did the exact opposite. They respected local customs, they rebuilt local temples, and they ruled through law and cooperation, not just brute force. It was a model that actually created stability and loyalty.
And this whole philosophy is perfectly captured in the words of Darius the Great himself, which he had carved into a cliffside for all time. I do not love the lie, I love the peace. This wasn't just some nice-sounding slogan. It was the founding principle of the Pax Persica, the Persian peace, that held the whole empire together.
But of course, no empire lasts forever. The golden age of Persian rule in Gaza did eventually come to an end. But, the end of an empire isn't the end of its influence, not by a long shot. History just kept moving. Alexander the Great came and conquered the city. He was followed by the Seleucids, and then, of course, the Romans. Gaza passed from one great power to the next, always a prize because of its strategic location.
But even after the Persian flags came down, the culture, it stuck around. The Persian legacy endured. We can see it in local myths, in art, and, this is incredible, in ancient mosaic patterns found right there in Gaza that are believed to be inspired by the intricate designs of those famous Persian carpets.
And this brings us right back to today. When we look at Gaza, it's worth remembering this much, much deeper history. Behind all the headlines lies a land that was, for centuries, a proud, vital, and respected part of a great Eastern civilization that stretched all the way to the edge of the Western world.
So when we think about this city, once the center of military power, global trade, and cultural exchange under a Persian king, it kind of leaves us with a big question, doesn't it? How does knowing that history, that deep past, change the way we see it now? It's a powerful reminder that no place on Earth is ever defined by just a single story.